Welcome to Design to the Nines. I'm NataLee Callahan, and if this is the first time we're meeting, welcome to my channel. Today's episode I am so excited for because we are finally decorating my craft room slash studio. First off, I kind of want to show you where it began. We decorate in stages. That way you don't have to lay down a whole chunk of money all at once. You can do it in stages. I'll put together a playlist with all of the videos that I'm referencing, so you'll have one source where you can go and kind of see the process along. First off, I wanted to show you where this room began. As a very boring vanilla room with a bunch of inherited furniture that I probably would have never bought unless it hadn't already come with the purchase of our home. There were very vanilla walls, cheap end tables, a fake leather sofa that looked good from a distance, but when you got close you could see that it was really cracked and peeling all over the place. Now this room sits at the top of our stairs and is meant to be a loft family room, probably where the kids would normally play. However, my husband also works from home and his office is upstairs, and this room was really never getting used by our kids. So I decided to commandeer it as my craft room slash studio. I started out by selecting an inspiration piece that would determine the direction that we took the color palette in. But the first real project I tackled was the walls. So I started out by doing my token striped wall. Essentially, the wall striping process is this. You start out by painting the entire wall that you intend to stripe in your lightest paint color. When your wall is dry, you're going to mark where you want your stripes. My stripes were about 8 inches wide. Then you're going to take out your level and mark your stripes all the way around the wall so that they are all nice and level. Then you're going to tape off all of the stripes with painter's tape, which I have an absolute love-hate relationship with because it always leaks. No matter whether or not it says it's not going to leak, it will leak. So to prevent this leakage, I then seal the painter's tape with that lighter color that's already on the wall. So if it bleeds, it's bleeding the original wall color. This will help to create a crisp line. Then I do 2 coats of the darker color. Let that dry and then peel back the painter's tape. Even with all of those extra steps, you will have a couple of spots that will still bleed through. I usually take a tiny little paintbrush and just do touch-ups in those little areas. And with just a few cans of paint, it went from boring to totally beautiful. Next up, I sold my fake leather sofa, and it more than covered my craft table, which was a knockoff of the Pottery Barn Bedford project table. In this episode, I built 2 cubby shelves that I picked up from Target for pretty inexpensive, and they were actually pretty simple to put together. Then I picked up some supplies at Home Depot where I built a simple tabletop using an MDF sheet that I had Home Depot cut down and some 2x4s. Essentially, I just screwed everything together, put a back on the inside of the cubbies so it was no longer open, and then painted everything out that needed it. In the end, it was a near identical knockoff with massive savings. It just goes to show you that with a little bit of sweat equity, you can get the look for less. Next up, I wanted to have my logo on my wall since this will be used to shoot my weekly show here on YouTube. If you're doing this at home, you could do your favorite saying, your favorite quote, or whatever sparks your creativity. I start by putting my logo on my Cricut design studio. If you don't have a Cricut at home, what I recommend is printing out whatever quote or saying you'd like on cardstock and cutting it out by hand. You can use this as a template and trace it onto the craft styrofoam just like I did. Then you're going to need a hot knife, which is an awesome tool that I recently discovered that's not very expensive, and it will cut right through the styrofoam like butter. It's amazing. I'm totally obsessed with this tool. Once I got my letters cut out, I painted the edges in gold paint and hot glued on some rhinestone ribbon that I picked up from the Dollar Tree to cover up the sides of my newly cut 3D letters.
Because I didn't want to see any of the styrofoam texture, I took the original poster board that I had cut out as a template on my Cricut machine and spray painted it gold. I then used spray mount adhesive to glue them right onto the fronts of the styrofoam letters. But I didn't stop there. I found a large frame that was perfect in size to fit my logo in. On clearance at Hobby Lobby for $17, I spray painted this gold and framed out my logo. This part is totally optional, but it makes it look a little bit more finished in my opinion. This sign only cost me $12 for a rather large custom sign. I consider this a huge steal. I am so happy with this sign. I really, really love it. This room has really become a huge catch-all and dumping ground because of the overall lack of storage space in this room and really the whole house. So I knew I needed to add some storage shelves. Hiring somebody to build custom shelves were definitely not in the budget, so I knew I would need to build them myself. I start by going to the Home Depot and purchasing some MDF, which I have them make all of my major cuts there. Make sure you go in and place an order in advance and give them ample time. Then I mark where I want each shelf on all sides so I know exactly where to tack it in with some nails, and then follow up with 3 2.5-inch screws, which I drive in on each side, making sure to countersink so the head of the screw is flush. To add more stability and more of a finished look, I add beadboard to the back of the shelves. I mark the back to show where each of the shelves are located so I know where to shoot in the nails. I add flat trim to finish the bottom. I build 2 side units. Before I can install, I need to move the trim where the unit will sit. I slide them into place and attach them to the studs in the wall. Then I build the center unit to fit in the middle of the 2 units, adding shelves on support strips that have been screwed into the studs in the wall. This will make the unit very sturdy. I add a center support in the middle unit, and then I add some simple trim on the facing of all the units. I use some 2-inch door casing to fake crown molding. I've used it before and it works out really well. I prime and paint it out. By building them myself, I saved well over $1,000. Not too shabby. Now it's time to decorate, my favorite part. I did a few decorative and practical DIYs for my craft room makeover. I will show you how to make those in an upcoming episode very soon, so stay tuned for that. I kind of struggled hanging this frame back up, but it eventually worked out. I love this, isn't it cute? Now let's get our shelves filled. I got this gold tray on clearance at Ross for $1.99, and I'm just gonna set it here. And then we're gonna set our floral arrangement, pink peonies arrangement that I did a long time ago. I've since added a few extra flowers that I had on hand that I thought looked nice to it, but I'll have that tutorial in the description box and playlist below.
I got this basket at Ross. I thought it would look really pretty on the shelf full of ribbons. So we're gonna place a whole bunch of ribbons in here. And I'm not doing it super organized. I kind of think I will like the natural look of it. We'll see. I may switch things out as I go with this because I think you kind of have to live with the design and see how it feels before you switch things up. So we'll just load this basket up. In these boxes that we made, I'm gonna just throw this in there and a few other things, and it will be stuff that I don't need all the time, but I don't want to get rid of. I got a great deal on this bar stool. It was on clearance for $69. It was exactly what I was looking for, and I was planning on paying double that amount. So I was ecstatic to find that on sale. This is from a Valentine's Day tutorial, but I think I'll keep it up year round. We'll just see. We might have a little project for back here as well. So we're gonna put this in now. It's time to place my Cricut machine. I have a plug-in outlet over here, so I'm gonna place it over here. I am kind of a fabriholic. I like pretty fabrics, and so I have quite the collection. And I'm gonna display some of my favorites right here on the shelf. So we'll just set those up there, and I'll play around with that a little bit. My mother-in-law got me this Willow Tree Prayer of Peace, and I'm gonna set it on my shelf. I picked up this $8 basket on clearance at HomeGoods, and I thought that it was a perfect basket to store odds and ends that weren't very attractive, and I could just hide it away. And it's not like it's a little bent and such, but it'll do the trick, I think. So we'll just nestle that right in here, and it will hold all of the ugly things that I just don't want to see all the time. I'm hiding underneath my craft table, but I promise it's for a reason. I got these command hooks, and I'm gonna actually hang them right underneath here, so right up in here, so I can hang my Cricut mats and get them out of the way, and they'll be a perfect spot for that. I love command hooks because you don't have to do anything other than stick them. Peel off one side of the backing, attach it to our hook, super easy, and then peel off that side. And I'm gonna actually hang it from the hook now, just so that I can place it correctly. I know you can't see it, but we're gonna press it right on. I've got all of my vinyl in a bin, and we're gonna just tuck that over here for when we need it. So I got these jars on sale at Hobby Lobby. I think they're perfect for storing things in them. I don't have anything for them yet, but I'm going to set them in here for when I need them. And they're so pretty, I like them. enjoyed the end result. I am really thrilled with how it turned out. And if you enjoyed this, I think you'll enjoy the playlist with all of the episodes that helped me get to this point. To all my DIY Niners, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.